Hi Alessandro, how are you doing today?
Very good, Christopher, very good, thank you.
I'm so happy we finally catch up. We tend to see each other at events all over the place.
Absolutely.
But we never have time to catch up properly in London.
Good to see you.
So again, pleasure, thank you. We're at Money20 Europe.
Yes.
Arguably one of the biggest and most insightful events around,
yes.
Certainly in Europe. And you're here. So if we step back, first of all, you've got an extensive experience in financial services. When we met originally, it was at a private dinner, I think, by the FT, and Ashok was when he was speaking. I was as well, a bit on stage, and we sat next to one another. You were at Lloyd's at the time.
I was indeed, yes.
But if we check your CV or your LinkedIn, it's quite impressive. So on PayPal, GE, you're mentoring so many organizations. So it's a long list, very impressive. If a few people there are not still aware of Pacemakers.io.
Yeah.
Could you please give us a helicopter view on what it is you're doing right now?
Absolutely. Pacemakers was created because we realized that there was a need in the market for innovation. So if you look, large corporations are all realizing that they have to change in order to adapt to the digital demands that are coming through. They realize that they don't have the skills in-house many a times. Mm-hmm. For the initial changes they do when they adapt to when they want to evolve their business and transform their business, they need to work with third parties. 5-10 years ago, the answer was always IBM, Accenture, McKinsey, the big groups. They're still very, very good. Today, there's hundreds and hundreds of smaller companies to work with. How do you find them? And the approach we put together was what we have at Pacemakers, which is we combine some of the principles of headhunting with some of the principles of strategy and business development. So we help large corporates identify the right companies to work with from a whole of market perspective. So we give them a whole of market perspective what they want to do, and then we help them choose who's best for them based on their own characteristics. So imagine headhunter for business.
I like headhunter for businesses. What's the scale or the geographical coverage today?
Right now we're focused very much on the EU and the UK. We have done a bit of work in the Middle East, and we have had some contacts with the US, but it's still early days for us. We're a very focused team right now.
So I wish we had more time today, because one of the key strengths is your team right there.
Absolutely.
There's no joke here. The accumulated experience is quite outstanding, right? So one of
the things that we thought was fundamental in this is corporates that want to innovate, they want to talk to people who have done it before. So as you said, my background is at Lloyd's, but I was employee 11 at PayPal. I started at G Capital in my financial services world. I was the CEO of Digital Banking and Group Innovation Director there. My other partner was the Chief Digital Officer of Coutts and Chief Digital Officer of Williams England, the RBS Suite. Another partner was the CEO of Hive Home IoT business. And then we have also an academic person that teaches at university and so on that is very much well connected. And that's just our top partners. And then we have as a research team that is slightly more junior but still very well exposed. So having a top quality talent pool to work, to then use this talent pool to go and look into the whole of a market perspective is fundamental. So you need to have understanding of the past to be able to know what you can do with the future.
Again, outstanding team. So we're at Money20 Amsterdam. You've been invited.
Yes.
So you're here. You're always invited, or very often anyway.
Yes, it's my fourth time. Yes.
Fourth time. You need to have some kind of credentials or like something, a pin maybe.
Yes.
What are you doing then at this specific event?
We had a panel talking about the fintech aggregation. So what's happening in fintech is you're getting certain geographies are becoming quite dominant, if you want. And we're focused on the three biggest ones, which is the US, the EU, and China. And we wanted to confront them and see what people thought was going to be the leader, if you want, of these. We started off with a conversation about that. We had a poll go out, and China came overwhelmingly first as the place where fintech leadership will come. The US was second, and EU was third, and then other was fourth. Now, we went through our panel. At the end of the panel, they did the poll again. China again was first, but EU was second. And US was fourth, and other became on top. So it's interesting to see. It was just a conversation, but there is an understanding that the world of fintech is not going to be ruled by the same old markets. It's going to be a change of centers of gravity.
It should have been a fascinating part. I wish I had time to attend it. And if we step back,
you should have told me that. You should have said you were there.
No, let's be frank. I'm always frank and honest.
Absolutely.
I've heard great things on social media, though, and feedback about your panel. Last but not least, with all your experience again as a leader for banks, for financial institutions, now advising a lot of corporations, according to you, in 2019, what are still the key challenges to drive to accelerate growth for a fintech organization?
I think what's happening right now is the incumbents felt a bit more confident last year than they do this year, because they're realizing that yes, what the challengers are doing is actually much more complex than they're able to adapt to. And the issues of legacies are becoming more and more real. In the last 2 years, legacy was seen as an IT problem. Now they're realizing it's actually an organizational problem and a structural problem. And that is very hard. It's very hard to adapt and to manage. So that's one challenge. The fintechs are realizing that they have something that is truly distinctive, and it's the way they engage with customers and so on. So I think there's a rebalancing, and right now the fintechs are realizing actually they have a slightly more powerful hand than they thought last year.
So the last word, what's next then for Pacemakers in terms of announcement or new exciting step?
We are engaged in a variety of things. There will be a book written by us very soon, so we'll keep a
crowdsourced or no, from the
combination. There will be an opinionated part and a crowdsourced part, so it's going to be a dual thing. I think it's fundamental right now to be able to look at the market, understand how the market operates. So, no, I can't tell you much more, but watch this space.
Okay, so let's come back on TV or YouTube in the next few months. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Alessandro,
Thank you for having
your time.
me. Thank you.
Take care. Merci beaucoup.
Bye.